Are pre-recorded today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be dropping into the charts. We're going to take a look pretty much just at Bitcoin. I'm actually going to be working on some of the educational videos that we're going to be doing. So we're going to produce some more stuff, I guess, for all the private bear den as well. And so obviously more free stuff for the rest of our favorite YouTube bear family as well. So with that in mind, let's just kick into the Bitcoin price outlook here. Boom. Okay, so we currently have Bitcoin open on the weekly chart at the moment. Now, one of the things that I've been kind of going over in conjecture the last few days here in my mind is, did we just see the end of the fifth wave, or are we in the end of the third wave and into the fourth wave now? So there's a few things that we had looked at previously. One of the first things that we had looked at previously actually was on the log chart, and it takes us all the way back to the previous bull run of 2012 and 2013 here. Now, one of the things that we did is, if you go to the top of indicators here, you just type in moving average. I'm going to show you guys how we did this. We just did a simple moving average. We went up here, we grabbed the dates. We want to change it to the 21 day, so we type 21 here. And then we go to the style, and we're going to make this candle, this wick here on this super big. Okay, so what we wanted to do was actually take a look at the previous run up between August 2013 and the top of 2014. See this 21-day moving average? We never really touched it 21-week moving average. We never really touched it as we exploded into this bull market here back in this day. Now, when we started to explode in 2016, we saw this really healthy test of the 21 moving average multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 8 times before we hit the top. Whereas here, we have not come back down to test this area at all. So the only time in Bitcoin's history, and again, history is one of the awkward words we might use here because since 2008, we can't necessarily consider history. It's just the recent past. But in Bitcoin's recent past, we've seen that this type of explosion actually has taken place before. Now, what we wanted to get into the conjecture of here is, if we go back to our non-logarithmic chart, we go down into the hourly here, and we start to take the look at this being a potential fourth wave instead of the end of the fifth. And what that would do is actually have us consolidate between the 12,000 to 13,000 as down around $8,000 area for the next little while here. Fourth waves are generally considered quite awkward. Everyone's like, oh, where's the price going? What's the direction doing? And the fact that we couldn't break out past here before coming back down is important. Now, the next thing that's important is we actually have a new trend line that started to form right here at the bottom of this line. So as each day progresses, we get considerably closer to understanding what's happening. Now, depending on how you're trading or playing or just investing or simply watching the markets, it's good to make, I think, to create conjecture. One of the reasons being is because it allows us to test our hypothesis in many different formats, and we're not just refined to one particular area of discussion. We can actually roll out and use this through all of the different areas of our basic input, right? So one of the things, again, that I think is interesting is I think that this might be a fourth wave. And if this is a fourth wave, that means we haven't seen the impulse of the fifth wave come in yet. And from there, the impulse of the fifth wave could be quite large. Now, again, this is all strictly conjecture, but Elliott wave is one of these fractal mathematics, but it seems like there's a lot more momentum coming into this market. So I ran across this guy's chart the other day that I thought was extremely helpful as well. And this looked like a very similar idea to what we had been pondering, is that if we go up and we shoot up super high again, just like we did for $20,000, we come crashing back down quite noticeably so. So he's got the bottom of the trend line here of the 200 moving average, I believe is what this is. This green line at the bottom here, back down to around 8,000 if we're to run to 40,000. Now, again, what I find interesting here is that this is an extension of the previous wave to some degree. If you were to look at it, we could almost raise the idea that this and this are like a truncated fifth wave before return and a really long replacement wave that comes out afterwards. I actually think that this is a very interesting chart here, mostly because, again, we've bounced out past that 21 moving average on the weekly and have not touched it since. And again, the only time we had seen that in the recent history or the recent past with Bitcoin was on the logarithmic chart back in 2013. So again, the question, I guess, basically comes down to where is it in the market that we are? So on the daily basis, it's a lot. On the weekly, we've actually just turned down for the first time in quite a while. We've actually broken below our little eagle's nest here, and our volume is starting to decline. Now, again, this would be, I guess, reminiscent of that consolidation in the fourth wave. So if we go into the daily, take a little bit of a closer look, more specifically, right above the eagle's trend line here. Let's zoom it in. We've actually just turned down and are about to cross over our moving average convergence and divergence. This is a multi-time frame. You can find all these scripts by following us on TradingView. It's called the Eagle's Nest for that one. It's a great little indicator. Again, I like using a bunch of indicators that they all say very similar things. That's what I'm looking for. So here we have Bitcoin again on the daily, and we've touched the 21 daily moving average a few times here, and it looks like we're about to try to break below it. Again, we have yet to break actually below this moving average since we were down around 7,000, which also leads me to believe that we're probably going to test right around this $8,200 area to $7,000 area. This on the 1 hour here, we have our buy and sell on the Ichimoku cloud. And considering we're turning down on a lot of these indicators right now, this might be the first time that we actually break below it. Now, how much do we go below? Maybe we only go to 10,000 below, and then we keep going up. Again, part of the thing with technical analysis is just keeping a super close eye on it, because markets change, sentiments change, the speculative aspect that's going into these markets change on a daily basis. So what the best thing that we can do is come up with multi-time frame predictive models, right? So we know in the long term, I think Bitcoin's going to millions of dollars. On the short term, how do we get there? What are the steps that take us to that particular place? So with Bitcoin, again, I think that there's there seems to be more mounting evidence that we might be in that fourth wave, again, bouncing around and consolidating between 12,000 and around 7,000 to 8,000. The other day when we broke above, we actually had this nice little, if I take the bear claw off of here, it'll be a little easier to see. We'll take the bear claw as well as the 21 moving average. We had a few points of breakout. We had one right here, which was basically an ascending triangle, and we saw as soon as we broke that, we went rushing up quite quickly. And then the other thing that was interesting is we actually saw a rising wedge form from there as well, and that rising wedge was actually the breaking point where we broke down yesterday too. So we had a rising wedge that came across and up top like this. Like that, but we had a rising wedge here. Again, close enough. So as soon as we broke down below this rising wedge, we came down all the way to the Ichimoku cloud in the 1 hour. So again, this is just leading us into, was this a fourth wave? Is it going to be an awkward fourth wave that kind of tosses everyone around in the laundromat for a minute, bouncing between maybe even 7,000, up at like 7,700, 7,800, depends on where you are on the charts. If we go out to the hourly, sorry, that was the 4 hour we were just looking at. If you go to the hourly, we're actually looking a little bullish on the hourly. But again, the daily and weekly have just turned down. So again, this could be that awkward sentiment of the fourth wave where we just kind of go sideways for a little bit before exploding much higher. And then again, a fifth wave here could produce something that took us all the way to 30 or 40,000, mostly because of the irrational exuberance. And again, if we look in Bitcoin's recent history, we look at the logarithmic pattern that we saw in 2012, 2013, which is basically, again, if we turn our moving averages and our bear claw on here, is basically just a huge explosion in price, almost straight up in comparison to this nice, healthy market that we saw come up in 2017. Again, so this is just my short little conjecture on Bitcoin's price today. We're probably going to see one or two more of these rise and drops between the $12,000 and $8,000 area. Again, this to me is just confirming the idea that we might be in a fourth wave. And then also, this is a really interesting topic, I think, right here, is that we might see this repeated pattern of a straight up bull market and that we saw similar to 2013 and even back in 2011, where we go straight back, basically straight up before retesting any of these, the 21 moving average here. So this might be the case. We might run up to 50,000 and come crashing back down to around 8 or 9,000. Again, this is one of the important parts, is paying attention to the depth of these markets as they unfold. Because this is a brand new ecosystem, we don't really know exactly what's going to happen, but every time something does happen, we get much better at telling what's going to happen next. Because this is the birthplace of a new ecosystem, again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week trading, we just have to get used to playing around in these markets and understanding that they're going to interact differently than all the other markets we have seen before. So on the lower time frames of the Bitcoin, we actually get great results for watching what's happening, because you can just watch. It's actually quite a beautiful thing to be able to watch it all kind of unfold. On the larger time frames, it's become a little more difficult, because we still don't understand what 24 hours a day, 7 days a week means in these markets with no holidays and no breaks and no plunge protection team. Anyways, this is just Bitcoin for today. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. We are going to be releasing our next newsletter, as well as the private bear den is going to be getting a bunch of new content this month. Super excited about that. I've started a new contract, so we'll be releasing details on some of the extra information we're working on in the background. Super excited about this as well. And then we're moving to Bali. So remember, leave your thoughts, your comments, all these questions down below. We do our best to answer those. If you haven't yet, join our free Telegram channel. And if you're a brave bear who's interested in learning, it's only $30 a month. And again, for any of you that have ever traded before or are learning to trade, you know that $30 a month for the type of content that we produce is super cheap. So if you are new to the ecosystem, please, don't please sign up. Only sign up if you're brave enough to know that you want to stick around in this market for a while. Because again, we just a week or two ago were telling people, well, the whole bear den got out of Litecoin around 17,000 satoshis, and now it's lost half of its value next to Bitcoin. This is something we've remarked on many times before, to not stay in Litecoin. Again, so even these simple reminders, they might only cost $30, but they could end up saving you thousands. Anyways, this is T with the Arcane Bear. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you guys all for joining us today. I hope you're having a fantastic time. We are, again, are so stoked to be here. We're going to produce some more videos today, later on this afternoon as well, so keep your eyes out for that. We're going to try producing a bunch of new stuff. As we love producing information, we've been jumping back and forth between the storytelling. We're going to start to really niche into just the way we present some of the information. So thank you guys all for joining us. Stay with the Arcane Bear. We're signing off for the rest of the day, and we'll see you guys on the other side.